Top three artists. Number one, I would say this is kind of like a go-to, Michael Jackson, right? I think just because, for me personally, right, I'll go in a bit deeper. I grew up in the 80s, and I was born in 82, so growing up in that time, you could just see and feel the presence of Michael Jackson heavy. And then in the early 90s, when I actually was coming into a place where I can understand certain songs and whatnot, especially in my teenage years, the appreciation for Mike was even higher. You know, when you kind of look at his body of work and what he was doing with music videos. So that's one. Number two, three, right? Number two, I would say LL Cool J would be someone I would throw in that mix because as it pertains to hip hop, I mean, the first person and the first track that really sucked me into it was Mama Said Knock You Out. That's like the first song that I heard that had me like, I gotta learn the words to this whole song. And this is like in the 90s, so there's no Googling for the lyrics. So it was like, press the tape, don't call it a comeback, stop, press play again. I've been here for years. So doing that for the whole song, so you know, it forced you to, by the time you finish, you already had it memorized, right? And then the third one, I would say, just to bring it into a more current phase, I mean, there's so many, but off the top of my head, maybe someone like Nas, because I think even though LL was so influential in pulling me into it, I think over the years, Nas was someone I really looked at in terms of wanting to find that balance of, you know, being able to go in lyrically, but then still kind of have that appeal to the masses without really sacrificing too much of what he believed in as an artist. But there's way more than these three, so. I love all the classics, like the legends, like the Dre's and the Pharrells. Okay, I'll throw one out there. Premier, DJ Premier. Like at this moment, you know, I'm gonna say like, definitely he's up there in terms of like my favorite all-time producers because, yo, you talk about someone who's really been committed to a sound that he's known for, right? And even though, you know, he's committed to that sound, he, you know, yo, Premier got records with Christina Aguilera. But even if you listen to that joint, it's not like, hold up, that don't sound like Premier. It still sounds like Premier. I've never got to work with Primo yet. I mean, maybe that time will come in the near future. But I've definitely rhymed on plenty of Primo beats, right? Like on mixtape joints. So you're just like, yo, that joint is crazy. So Primo. Another one, RZA. I think RZA is a pretty underrated producer too. Woo! Okay. I could compile a long list of most slept on artists from my perspective, but I'm gonna pick one out of that big batch. I'm gonna say Black Thought from the Roots. Not too many minutes ago, I was just outside with another, like a friend. We was talking about the new Roots album. And I mean, the thing is, if you're a lyricist, like, and you're really into that, you have Black Thought in your top, you know, your top threes and top fives. But I think maybe on a bigger scale, I wish the world could really see, yo, what Black Thought brings to the table, right? So he's super dope. Like I grew up in that, like I said, the 90s. So the Roots are just always super consistent. Like even one song for this generation, I was like, yo, go look for this song. I mean, it's one out of so many, but the song called You Got Me. You know, it's a love song, essentially, but it's the hardest and most lyrically dope love song, you know. So Black Thought is one of many that I feel is underrated. Oh, okay. Now I gotta ask you a question real quick though. Are we talking the first car that I drove after I got my license, or my first, this is your car, Jen? Which one do you want? Because it's two different cars. You want both? Okay. Well, the first car that I got my license and I can take it and drive it on my own was a, I think, 98 Dodge Caravan. And actually, we used to call it Roseanne. The reason because it was white and big. I'm sorry, Roseanne. I mean, I don't know you, and I hope you don't get offended. But I used to watch Roseanne growing up, so it's more out of love and respect. You know, she was always pretty open to cracking jokes about herself, but I mean, no disrespect. But I just had to share that because we used to be like, me and the homies be like, yo, man, we gonna go to the mall, right? Yo, Jen, you got Roseanne on Friday? And that's what we used to call the van. So it was like an 89 Dodge Caravan, so please forgive me. But that was the first car. So that was like the family van. And my mom and dad would let me take it. So that was nice of them. My first, like, this is my ride, was a 99 Honda Civic. And changed my life. Changed my life. That was, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, you would be like, oh, Jen, you know, oh, yeah, and we saw him in the Too Fast, Too Furious. He probably had the crazy spoiler and the rims and dropped. And, yo, I had the most basic Honda Civic that you could imagine. Like, I didn't even have my windows tinted. That's how crazy it was. Like, and it wasn't because I didn't want to, but I mean, it was something about the way the car came when we drove it off the lot. I was like, I don't want to do anything to this. So I had like the stock radio, I had the stock hubcaps, but that thing got me where I needed to go though. I even remember the first dent I got on it. I was so heartbroken. Yeah, and it was my own fault though. That's the thing. I was like backing up out of a spot, and there was one of those, you know those yellow things that come out of the floor? So I pulled out, and I just didn't have the angles mastered. So as I was like pulling out, it was the right side, the passenger side. I heard like a and then I was like, oh snap, I jump out. It was like all banged in, man. So the things that you go through with your first car. You hit me with the childhood celebrity crush. Okay, I had quite a few, so I'm gonna throw one out there. I used to have a crazy crush on Maya. Yes. So I was, this is probably like junior high school, you know, because, you know, Maya's definitely an artist that's been doing music for, you know, for a while and super talented. Never met her either. So Maya, thank you for, you know, what you brought to us during our high school years. But especially she had a song, remember, I don't know if the viewers remember, you remember, with Cisco. And that joint was, it's all about you. It's all about me. And yo, I used to like lay in bed and think about that video. Not Cisco's part, but Maya's part. And I'm just connecting it right now. This for my Chinese connection out there. I don't know. I think in that video she had like a Chinese type dress on, like a red, you know, like a very traditional, the Chinese, like they had a dragon on or something. That may actually be that may have been the thing that really sucked me into it. Cause she was a lovely young lady, but when I saw that Chinese dress, I was like, okay, right? Like, okay. So, yeah, Maya, God bless you wherever you are, man. And, I mean, yeah. My worst job is actually not that bad, but I think it's because it wasn't something that I really wanted to do, which is why I looked at it like, dang, I hate this. I grew up in a household where my mom and dad, you know, wanted to provide for ourselves. So we had these little Chinese takeout restaurants. Go to any hood in America and you'll probably find one, right? It's the small joint with the counter. You go in and, you know, you go into a Chinese restaurant and you see stuff that's not even Chinese food. It's like that type of place, right? Like, yeah, let me get the French fries with like the chicken nuggets. That ain't Chinese food, right? But you're in a Chinese restaurant though. So it was more of like, this is how we had to survive and take care of the fam. So I grew up in that, right? After school, had to go straight there. And I started out with answering the phone and then little by little helping out in the kitchen. Then by the time, you know, I got the call, I was making deliveries. And I ain't gonna lie, throughout that whole time, I hated it. You know, I think because of many things. One of the reasons is the people that was looking, whether it be the homies or people at school, they was like, yo, Jen, you ballin', man. Your family got the restaurant, you doing good. But little did they know, yo, that was not the case at all. It's hard running like a independent restaurant or an independent business in general. So, you know, the older me now definitely looks back and I'm like, man, I was pretty little, like a little prick, right? My mom and dad's busting their ass in there. Meanwhile, I'm complaining like, why I gotta be here at the restaurant? So, but I gotta be honest that during those years, man, it was the thing I dreaded the most. Like, the bell would ring for school about to be over, and I think I was the only one that was like, oh man, don't ring yet. Everybody else can't wait to get out because, you know, they going to the mall, they going to the movies. You know, I'm like, I gotta go to the restaurant. I hate this, but it definitely helped me build character and I definitely appreciate the value of a dollar and appreciating hard work. So thanks, Mom and Pops, for that. Yo, my favorite breakfast food is pancakes. Yeah, pancakes. I appreciate some nice quality pancakes. And I don't know, it might even be because we grew up on them. But the hotcakes at Mickey D's, I mean, they're not really cutting a check, so I don't know if I should say this or not, but I grew up on the Mickey D's, the hotcakes. You know, the one that comes with like 3 and then like 1 sausage and then a hash brown. Yo, I grew up on it. What can I say? My go-to movie. A lot of these things that you're asking me, I have so many options. So I'm really just telling you at this moment, the first one to pop into my head. A go-to movie, without a doubt, forever, ever, Rush Hour. 1. 2, also as well. But 3, y'all lost me. No offense. It doesn't take away from how classic 1 and 2 is, right? But 3 is when I felt like, man. So, for example, 1. Man, just crazy. Like, I can watch it again and again. And the crazy thing is, I know all the lines, right? You know, he's like, put the bag in yourself. You know, like Chris Tucker. And, you know, all of a sudden Jackie Chan speaks English. And then Chris is like, how you speak English, man? You ain't telling me you speak English. And then Jackie Chan's like, you assume I don't speak English. I like to let people who assume I don't speak English because you can see how full of shit they are, right? And then, you know, Chris Tucker's like, man, nobody know what you're saying, right? So sometimes I have more fun reenacting the scenes out myself than watching. And then, you know, in part 2, when Chris Tucker goes to Hong Kong, and, you know, they're in the salon, and he's like, Carter, that's Ricky Tan. He's like, man, that's a midget in the bathroom, right? Like, so it's that one-liner. I think the chemistry between them was crazy. And but part 1 is the go-to. And shout out to my sister too. I have a little sister, and in some crazy way, Rush Hour like pulled us closer together. You know, because we can talk about that movie and we be quoting lines with each other. But yeah, Rush Hour is a classic, for real, for real. Yo, what's good? I'm MC Jin, and now you know.
Timberland, best then, better now. Available at Robert Wayne Footwear.